in that room? No, absolutely not. I mean, everything I said is correct. It's how the American people feel. It's what we know to be a fact. It's all the evidence has been proven true. We have Jamie Raskin in there accusing us of worshiping Trump, worshiping as a convicted felon. Well, yeah, so is George Floyd. And everybody, and you all too, the media worship George Floyd. Democrats worship George Floyd. There were riots burning down the fucking country over George Floyd, and Raskin is in there saying we worship him. Excuse me, let me correct you, and this is really important. I don't worship, I worship God. God. And Jesus is my savior. I don't worship President Trump. And I'm really sick and tired of the bullshit annex I have to deal with constantly from the Democrats.
What is it? What is it about humanity that wants to go to all the details and stuff and listen? You know, these guys like Fauci get up there and start talking. You know, he doesn't know anything really about anything, and I'd say that to his face. Nothing. The man thinks you can take a blood sample and stick it in an electron microscope, and if it's got a virus in there, you'll know it. He doesn't understand electron microscopy, and he doesn't understand medicine. And he should not be in a position like he's in. Most of those guys up there on the top are just total administrative people, and they don't know anything about what's going on at the bottom. You know, those guys have got an agenda, which is not what we would like them to have, being that we pay for them to take care of our health in some way. They've got a personal kind of agenda. They make up their own rules as they go. They change them when they want to, and they smugly, like Tony Fauci, does not mind going on television in front of the people that pay his salary and lie directly into the camera.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? The one and only James Williams Dope Waters, and I'm back, and I got my pink shirt on because I want to seem like I'm non-aggressive, so I'm wearing pink. You know what I'm saying? The old Bill Gates trick is what's going on. And that brings me to Dr. Almost cursed. That's why you heard me hesitate. Ooh, that word that was about to come was a multifaceted curse word. A New Orleans special multifaceted curse word. Woo, boy. Dr. Anthony Rat Fauci. You know, last week, Donald J. Trump came out and he said he went to the doctor and got a COVID vaccine. That was Thursday or Friday, maybe Thursday. Basically like saying, okay, answer. All right, Donald, I don't know why you would do that. That's retarded, but okay. Then over the weekend, he says, I don't know if I'm going to heaven or not. I don't think I could get into heaven. Then you know what it dawned on me? I'm going to tell you what dawned on me. Because there's this, I'm going to just tell you like this. I do not believe that the content that comes in front of me is random. I just don't. There's no way that my feed is random. And so then I see Dr. Fauci talking. And it's like, this little rat bastard has been quiet the whole time until Donald J. Trump took a vaccine. The minute Donald J. Trump took a vaccine, he started talking. And then he comes out and he says, oh, there will be another pandemic. And you know, I'm just going to say this, Donald. President Donald Trump. I know you got a lot going on, my man. And we love you for what you do. But we going back into the Kenny Loggins area again. In fact, you would tell me, well, James, I stay in the Kenny Loggins area. Hashtag danger zone. Yeah, I know. You're probably always in a danger zone. But then there's some danger zones, Mr. President, that are worse than others. So we got a quadruple threat of danger zones going on. We got bombing Russia going into World War IV, not World War III. We got Fauci still running around talking about making diseases and releasing pandemics. And we got the worst danger zone there is ever. A president that spiritual counsel clearly is failing him and has failed him to the point to where he doesn't understand salvation. It's a dangerous time, dangerous area. Now, as you guys know, you notice I'm sipping methylene blue this morning. Matter of fact, I'm going to pour my methylene blue into my wine glass, it's cold pressed methylene blue, like when you do it like this. See, I'm getting that cold pressed methylene blue, stirred on ice. There it is. Cold pressed methylene blue. Yes. No ice in there. Now I'm Fancy James, drinking my methylene blue. You must sniff the glass. Now you want to sniff the middle of the glass. And now you must sniff the top of the glass. My goodness. The best cold pressed methylene blue. Swirl your methylene. Even the methylene even has legs on it. Look at the methylene has legs. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. Fancy James is back, and Fancy James wants you to know that we have problems, ladies and gentlemen. How does the President of the United States of America, a Christian nation, not know that your soul was saved by the blood sacrifice of Jesus Christ? And I won't blame the President. The President is a busy man, and I will say that the President possibly is what we will call a baby Christian that is on milk. But what I do blame is the President's council of spiritual leaders. Whoever the council's president's leaders are clearly cannot be leading. Either that or Mr. President is extremely stubborn. And the only other option, and I've been racking my brain over this, ladies and gentlemen, the only other option would be that I'm going to go to hell is a code word that President Donald Trump has chosen to signal something to someone. Yes. It's something that he's using to signal to someone. That someone would have had to tell him that he's not going to heaven if they didn't do something, if he didn't do something they wanted them to do, and he just happened to say, well, I'll just think I'm going to go to hell because I'm not going to do what you want me to do. Those are the options that I see. That's what we're looking for in the news. Lord, will you reveal it to us, please, my Lord? My grace, will you reveal us what is going on with your president, my Lord? I know he is your anointed. I know I'm here swirling my methylene. That is what I inquire of you today as we sift through the news. And also, my Lord, why is Dr. Fauci not in prison, my Lord? My grace, I know it is your decision but my grace, he's killed so many people, so many of your children. My grace, he has genetically modified your sons and daughters. As we swirl our methylene blue, ladies and gentlemen, before we dig into this, I would like you to know that only Alex Jones's methylene blue swirls like this. Only the methylene blue from Infowars.com. Now, I'm moving on. Let's listen to this rat bastard, Dr. Fauci.
And then there's the transformative, if I might use that word, experience that we've all had now in year 5 of COVID. So the thought that we won't have another pandemic, I think is naive at best and just not completely unrealistic at worst. So to rephrase your question, I'm convinced that there will be another pandemic. And that's the reason why we have to be perpetually prepared to prevent the terrible impact of a pandemic. And then there's the transformative, if I might use that word, experience that we.
The transformative experience. It's so loaded with code words, ladies and gentlemen. As Sophisticated James swirls his methylene blue again. So loaded with code words. Transformative experience. What did it transform? Do you mean the transhuman experience where people can go to graveyards and pick up all the IP addresses coming from people's bodies? You mean the nanotech particle transformation where humans have now blended with little bitty machines? Do you mean how the economy has been transformed? Do you mean how the liberals have been transformed into hordes of crazy zombies with pink hair, green skin, bull rings in their nose? Is that what you're talking about, rat bastard Dr. Fauci? Dr. Fauci is a Wesson from the Grimm. He's one of the rat Wessons. Furthermore, I would like to suggest to you, while I'm being Sophisticated James just swears his methylene. Yes. New Orleans James, he just drinks his methylene on ice and goes crazy and then sips it from the dripper. But as I'm being Sophisticated James, the more things come to me, the more I think about them. How the world has been transformed, the whole world, at the hands of this one person who created viruses. Now, he actually got blueprints from viruses from hell. Yeah. Now we're at a point where anyone can extract the virus from the realms of hell and bring it to fruition through CRISPR gene editing. And as long as there's funding from the NIH like he had, you can do it in China. And I'm confused as to why he's not in handcuffs, ladies and gentlemen. However, we have inquired of the Lord this question. He shall reveal it to us, because that's what he does. I would like to move on to see what Mr. Rand Paul had to say about this. Rand Paul is no longer on my favorite people's list. I want you to know this. Him and his father used to be two of my favorite people, but it seems as if when we got to getting what the Rand Paul family and Ron Paul family said they wanted, which was smaller government, then all of a sudden they started fighting against smaller government. The whole time, Ron Paul said we need to audit the Fed. Do you recall audit the Fed from Ron Paul and Rand Paul? And now that we're getting close to auditing the Fed, now they have a problem with everything. Rand Paul votes no to everything. The reality of it is, I believe Rand Paul was a rhino the entire time, and Ron Paul was a fake, a fraud, a floozy, a flugazi. However, it could be wrong, but this is Sophisticated James talking. Let's take a listen.
The research in Wuhan, and he adamantly, repeatedly, and heatedly said, I never funded gain-of-function research ever in China. Well, it turns out that we have a letter from the group that was funneling the money, EcoHealth. They were getting NIH grants. It was going to EcoHealth, and then it was going to China. We have a letter from EcoHealth where they respond because their money had been paused while it was examined whether it was gain of function. And they have a thank you, Dr. Fauci, for restarting our gain of function research. So it's pretty clear the people receiving the money thought it was gain of function research. But we also have other members of the NIH. When we had an interim member, an interim director of the NIH, he came forward and said, of course it's gain of function research.
Right.
So Fauci was playing games with semantics because he worried that this would attach to him. But now he's guilty of a crime.
Well, Senator, even though he's pardoned, I mean, can you open that back up?
That's the real question. Is the pardon valid? Can an auto pen pardon someone? Can a clerk or a college intern running the auto pen, can they pardon someone? We addressed this issue partially, not in court, but there was a time during President Obama's administration that he was jetting off to India, and an important piece of legislation came forward, and he wasn't going to be back in time, and it would be a pocket veto. You know, if you don't sign legislation, if the president doesn't sign it, it fails through a pocket veto. And he wasn't going to be back, so he had his auto pen sign it. And the world knew it was happening, and they doubted the validity of it. But he said, not to worry. When I get back, I will sign it. And I believe he came back and signed it in person because he was worried about the validity of the law without a real signature. So the court would have to decide this. But I think indicting Anthony Fauci would be something that's appropriate. But then I think the court would decide whether the pardon holds, and you'd probably have to interview people. Did the president really do the pardon? Or did a clerk, or was it Joe Biden's chief of staff who approved this? You know, the person who was running the auto pen, I think they already have testimony saying he never talked to the president. So he's running the auto pen. I think there was thousands of pardons coming off of it, and he never discussed it.
I think a lot of people are going to start practicing pleading the fifth because this thing is getting real spicy.
Let's see if they have a larger snippet of what Fauci was saying while he was on the news. Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. Relax. Don't.
It looks you have one of your favorite gentlemen, and I use that term ironically, Dr. Anthony Fauci. It looks like he did a lot of TV over the weekend. Let's listen.
So at the time that I was getting offered it, I was making $200,000, and I would get offered a job that would get me $5, $6, $7 million a year. So
why didn't you take it?
Because I really felt what I was doing was having an impact on what I cared about, which was the health of the country and indirectly the health of the world. And to me, that is priceless.
When do you get to grill him again, Senator?
Well, I think he's working on sainthood. But I can tell you what he was talking about for the 10 years when he was giving up all that money to be in public service. He was saying that, yes, a scientist could get infected from the lab, and yes, a pandemic could start, go around the world, but the knowledge would be worth it. That's what he was telling you. The pandemics would be okay, gain of function, no problem. He did a disservice by staying with the country so long.
Thank you.
What does it mean, ladies and gentlemen? By the way, for those of you getting tired of my accent, when the methylene's blue is gone, fancy James will depart from you, and regular James will return. Either regular James or liberal James or extremely conservative New Orleans James will come. The only thing you ever met extremely conservative New Orleans James, there's something seriously wrong with that man.
Questioned him on funding the research.
What is this that is playing right now? Give me one moment, please.
And heatedly said, I never.
There, we have paused it. It makes you wonder, when will we deal with the issue of the auto pen and how would it be dealt with? Because that seems to be clearly the thing that's protecting Dr. Fauci. And Dr. Fauci don't need to be protected. The simple fact that he has the unmitigated gall to come back out again and say that there's possibly another pandemic coming. And then say, yeah, the transformative nature of the last one. And did you hear how he said it kind of with pride, based upon the transforming nature of the last one? What? You see, I'm just going to tell y'all what I think. I think that was a man that was confident that his technology just assassinated the president. Yep. And I'm going to tell you, Dr. Fauci is the Grim Reaper. He's the Grim Reaper. Remember, we just did a video where our big homie Hubert Angel was talking about the death angels that was lined up everywhere. Angels of death, the retarded zombie-looking angels from the kingdom of darkness that was bringing death all over the planet, that was preparing to bring death all over the planet. I mean, that was like just a couple of days ago we were talking about that. And it's the beauty of it. God always give his children warnings. We just don't be paying no attention because we be busy. We're too busy watching the damn football game. We're too busy watching the damn stock market or something. You just got to take some time and go look and see what's going on, then get back to doing what you need to do. But this Dr. Fauci thing is disturbing. Now, the only other thing I want to show you is Milo pops up on my feed. And bro, you gotta understand, I don't even know if I subscribe to Milo. But I think I found out what the problem is with Donald J. Trump's theology. Hold on. All right, guys, I'm gonna show you what's bothering me, and we shall see. Now, remember the theory of dethroning, right? We talked about the theory of dethroning and how the process of dethroning happens to people. We said that if you follow the dethronings, you can follow the judgments of God on this planet, right? I gave you the example of Alex Jones, them attempting to dethrone Alex, the whole world government system with millions of dollars attempting to dethrone Alex Jones and him not being dethroned. In fact, I think Alex is still on his original website. Like, if I'm not mistaken, hold on. I think he's still on freaking InfoWars, and they were supposed to come in and take everything from him. Yeah, like InfoWars itself still being updated. Let's see. Let's go to Band.video and see. You know what? The best way to do it is go to X and go to Alex Jones, because we'll be able to look at the studio and tell a difference. I just don't want to be a liar. Go to AJN Network, which is his new thing. That's him riding a car. Okay, maybe, just maybe they got him, because I'm looking in the background of this gentleman. Maybe they got the studio. because he's from his home studio over the weekend. We'll know at 12 noon today. I mean, we'll know in 2 more hours today. The point I'm making, let me get back. The point I'm making is this. When you follow the dethronings, you see where God's judgments are being rendered against humans and men, and actually spirits behind humans, right? And so AJ was supposed to have been off air, gone. He's got AJ in live. He's got an app that's #1 in the App Store or in news. I think the new version comes out. So clearly there was no dethroning there, right? There was persecution there, and there was an exaltation there. Now, I'm starting to see Paula White pop up everywhere. Like Milo wasn't the first time I saw Paula White pop up. But Milo says something that's extremely important. A president of the United States who does not believe he can be saved is not only a danger to his own immortal soul, he's a danger to everyone, to the extent that Trump is speaking truthfully. And I get that he's probably mostly joking. There is one woman possible. And this is going to be a problem for her, honestly. If you see this catch on. Now, I remember when he first appointed Paula White to some board, just blah, 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 blah. Everybody spazzed out about it. I didn't really pay attention to it. I was like, okay, people saying this Paula White girl is a bad person. God, judgment starts in the house of God. And so I was like, okay, big man got this. He gonna do what he do. But the thing is, judgment starts in the house of God. Let me repeat it again. Judgment starts in the house of God. Right? The house of God is the church. The house of God is your house. If you yourself are a Christian, judgment starts in the house of God. Just want to make that clear. People be like, oh, judgment starts in the house of God. That means the church is going to be judged. No. If your house serves the Lord, that's a house of God. And judgment going to be in there too with you. All right, here we go. This is disturbing in many ways because maybe the president's playing. Maybe he's not playing. Maybe he's joking. Maybe he's not joking. But the issue is, it's throwing shade on his spiritual counsel. Anybody who hears that has to say, okay, when he repetitively says it, you have to come to the realization, okay, maybe this guy does not understand this. And the problem is, it bothers me because he's an extremely intelligent guy. It's like a puzzle that I'm trying to solve because it makes no sense.
Wherever I go, God rules. When I walk on White House grounds, God walks on White House grounds. I had every right and authority to declare the White House as holy ground because I was standing there, and where I stand is holy. Wherever.
And when you go through the clips of Paula White, it's salacious clips. They're 100% salacious clips. But that doesn't necessarily mean that she's responsible for this milk that's baby formula thought process of the president. It's something we should watch. It's not something I'm going to say is going to happen, but it's something we should watch because this is like the 5th time the president has said this. And I know the first time he said it, everybody responded. Because remember, this is on the tail end of the murder of Charlie Kirk. This is like the 5th time the man done said this. There's a problem here. Can't tell you what it is, can't tell you where it's coming from, but there's a problem. A serious problem. All right, guys, I'm going to see y'all on the next video. The one and only James Williams, Dark Waters, I'm out of here.